Hello, you're tuned to the Football Hipsters podcast. I am your host, Kris. I've got my good friend John with me tonight to discuss all of the Europa League and Champions League. Keep it tuned. This is your weekly roundup of the midweek action. Hello and welcome, good evening, good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are, whatever time you're listening to this. This is the Football Hipsters podcast and a little show that we like to call the Satchel. For those of you new listeners tuning in for the very first time, it's our little midweek roundup of any Europa League or Champions League action that happens. So in other words, whenever there's a week of action, we will be here to dissect it, and that's definitely the right word to use when we get on to Inter. I've got just my regular guest with me tonight when we do these shows, and that is John. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Chris.
It only seems like yesterday we were doing the Champions League final, or Champions League semi-finals, I think it was actually we did last. So it's all back again, mate. It's all back again, and lots of games to play, and even more new rules to learn, and God knows what else. I'm sure somebody will ask you about the coefficient before we get the season out of the way.
Yeah, we should ban that already.
Yeah, really shouldn't we? Right, let's jump straight in then. We'll sort of recycle our way back to Tuesday first of all, and have a look at the Champions League and pick out a few ties to look at. Should we be biased and start with Arsenal? Why not? We might as well. Everyone knows we follow them, so why not? So PSG Arsenal in the Parc des Princes. It was a tale of a striker and a sending off. That's maybe and a goalkeeper, shall we say. But PSG going ahead very early on, Arsenal coming back to get a point with Alexis Sanchez's goal. What did you make of both sides overall?
It was a really weird game. Obviously, as a fan, I was disappointed with the lineup Arsenal had. It didn't really make sense. Especially with the selections that had been made at the weekend of the Premier League. It looked like the players who were being rested on the bench for that game were going to come in for this game, and most of them didn't. And we saw PSG obviously come flying out the blocks. Great goal, less than a minute into the game. Very just the Arsenal defence just not awake at all, and good finish by Cavani. And PSG looked really impressive. Everyone knows they've got good players, but they really did look very good. Arsenal couldn't get the ball back in midfield. They were passing it around them at times, and Cavani kept on getting in. And the story of the game probably was how bad Arsenal were for probably 60, 70 minutes of the game, and how many chances Edison Cavani wasted, because he probably could have scored 4 or 5 and completely demolished and really embarrassed Arsenal on the night. Luckily for us, he didn't. And we got the goal back. And on the balance of things, like a point is a really good result, obviously, for Arsenal away at PSG, which should, in theory, is the hardest game in the group. But on the balance of play, PSG will be very disappointed because they should have walked the game, really. Yeah,
really should have done it. Certainly should have been 2 or 3 goals up before Arsenal struck back. And hats off to David Ospina coming in for his first start of the season and providing the Arsenal with the opportunity to at least claim a point. So
very good in goal.
Fair play to him. Right, okay, let's move on then in the interest of being unbiased. Let's go to Kiev next, just to be ultra hipster, because Napoli took on Kiev away from home. I don't know whether you fancied them, but a certain gentleman by the name of Milik is he's turning into your version of me with Cavani, isn't he? He's trolling you slightly.
I wasn't quite as harsh on him, but yeah, okay.
No, true. Maybe not convinced, but he got a brace again. And a 2-1 victory for Napoli. That's a really good result away from home, isn't it, against Kiev?
Yeah, it was a good result. They started the game a little bit slowly. They looked a little bit edgy, but as they came into things, they started to dominate the play a bit more and passing it around and looking more comfortable. And Milik had a very good game. We got 2 goals. Kiev actually went in front. They did also get Sidorchuk was sent off on around the 70th minute mark, but by that point Napoli were quite comfortable at 2-1. Still some things to work out there. The defence not looking as confident as it was last season. I'm not quite sure what that's down to. There's been a slight adjustment with the team now. It's playing more of a 4-3-3 with Milik in the side than it was that sort of 4-2-3-1, so not as much cover from the midfield. But yeah, perfect result, getting 3 points away from home against one of the not fancy teams, but one of the better teams in their group. Very good point for 3 points for Napoli, and I think it's only their third time in the Champions League. So really good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. We should mention that the other result in Arsenal's group, we should say, Basel 1, Ludogorets 1, so that's 1-1s all round there. And the other result in this group, Benfica 1, Besiktas 1, all the Bs. Perfect start, as you say, for Napoli, because their points clear now, and they've got a home tie with Benfica up next. You'd think those two would be the favourites, but Besiktas will probably look at that game, a 1-1 performance away from home. Notoriously, Turkish sides don't travel well, and it was a certain ex-Benfica player who grabbed a 90th minute equaliser in Talisca. So
he's on loan, isn't he? Was it only 2 weeks ago they made that decision to loan him out, and then he pops up with that goal.
You just knew it'd happen, wouldn't you? It's a good point that for Besiktas, isn't it? Away from home, however late it comes. So that's Group B. Let's move on to oh dear. If you're Scottish and you like green and white hoops, you might want to close your ears now. Barcelona, as Tom was telling us about on Monday last weekend, they lost to Dani Alves. No, they lost to Alaves at home. And I think all of us called it, especially Tom on Monday, when we said Barcelona are going to be quite angry coming into this game, and they might just give Celtic a bit of a paddling. 7-0, John. Not the best for Celtic, but it could have been very different, couldn't it?
Yeah, it's really weird because I agree with what Tom said. They were obviously going to up the performance after the Alaves defeat. That's very embarrassing for Barcelona. But I think everyone going into the game expected Celtic to lose. No one was really expecting them to win. They thought, there's the tiniest chance of them getting a draw. But, they go 1-0 down and then they win a penalty. Moussa Dembele, who obviously had the fantastic performance against Rangers, which obviously is a very different level of competition, steps up to take the penalty, and Ter Stegen saves it, but the penalty was so poor. It was really bad. It was perfect height for a keeper, and, he went the right way. But he didn't make him work for it at all. And then after that, Barcelona just completely walked it. And it was interesting. I watched some of the highlights. Obviously, I didn't get to watch all the games. But hearing Roy Keane talk about Celtic, obviously he was a player, he's someone who played there. He said, I understand they don't have the money and the funds, and the Scottish League isn't very good, but it's a very big club, and it's got a long history. And the way they celebrated getting in just to the group stages, he said he felt embarrassed watching it. There was just no pressure on the ball at any time. They weren't making any tackles or anything. And don't get me wrong, Barcelona on their day can beat anyone. But the way they battered Celtic was unbelievable. Celtic just didn't look interested at all. As soon as that penalty was saved, they looked like they gave up. And it's a far cry from the team that, was it 3 years ago? Was it they got the win at home against Barca?
Yeah, I think it was.
Something like that, wasn't it? Yeah, they put in some really good performances, and it was. Okay, we know we're not as good as everyone else, but we're spirited. We're going to fight for every ball. Yes, you're going to sit deep against those teams, but tackles will be flying in. We're going to put pressure on them. And there just wasn't any of that, and Barca just walked through them. And when you give players space like Messi, Suarez, Neymar, they're going to get so many goals. I know there's 7 to pick from, and they were all great goals. But Neymar's free kick was fantastic, but Iniesta's volley from the Neymar assist, just the first time hit. I know he's running and he's in the box, but the way he connects with it, it's just beautiful. Really, really good goal. But yeah, Brendan Rodgers, I'm not saying a manager should be sacked for a 7-0 loss, but that's seriously embarrassing for Celtic. And the way he talked about it afterwards, making excuses about them being tired from the Rangers game, in a game where they, to be honest, battered a really bad Rangers team, and didn't have to put any effort in. Really, it's very strange what he was coming out with in the press conference afterwards. So, yeah, I wouldn't be happy if I was a Celtic fan at all. There's nothing wrong with losing to Barcelona, but not like that. That was really, really poor.
Yeah. A couple of stats in that game: 15 shots to 3, 10 on target, 7 goals. It's not a bad accuracy rate, is it? 72% possession to 28%. I mean, that is. Forgive me, Tom, if you're listening, but that is sort of Barcelona entertaining a very low level Spanish league side, isn't it? That's the sort of thing you'd expect when probably an Alaves go to the new camp
Yeah.
That's the sort of stats you expect to see on an average weekend of Barca against the against the lesser side. So as you say, it's pretty poor from the boys. Definitely an improved performance.
Yeah, if Celtic were sort of losing 2-0 and were putting in all the tackles and stuff and made a couple of chances on the break and then conceded 2 late goals in the last sort of 5 minutes where they're tired and whatever, and then obviously the scoreline reads 4-0, but you've seen the game and in the context of it, it's not really that bad. I don't think anyone's going to complain. But when you see 7-0 and it's just just get a goal when you want one kind of thing. It's embarrassing. I feel a bit sorry for Celtic because I think that Rangers actually getting put down all those leagues did lower the competition and it did weaken them as a squad. And not that they were ever going to go and win the Champions League, but they always had decent runs in it at least and good nights, especially at home. So yeah, hopefully they can turn it around. But that is really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's a toughie, but they've got to take it on the chin. And we'll come back to the other game in that group in a minute, because obviously that was moved for weather reasons. We'll come back to that in a second. But just wrapping up the Tuesday action, we had the final Group D, Bayern Munich. They gave Rostov a rather nice welcome to the Champions League with a 5-0 demolition job. Just want to pick out Joshua Kimmich, who has a habit of scoring on his debut in competitions for Bayern Munich. 2 on his Champions League bow this particular game. Juan Bernat picking up a goal as well, and Muller and Lewandowski with the other 2. Fairly safe to assume that you think Bayern Munich are going to come through this group fairly comfortably?
Yeah, they're like Barca and Madrid, those sort of teams. They're your favourites and normally most likely to top their group. Honestly, don't know a lot about the Rostov team. Was expecting Bayern to win, and they did win comfortably. Rostov just looked they looked a class apart, Bayern from the Rostov team. So decent result for them. Nice for Thomas Muller getting a goal on his birthday, and Javi Martinez back in the team as well, who we haven't seen for a while.
Yeah, it's good to see him back actually, because he is a very, very good little footballer, and injury has robbed him several times. The other game in that group, PSV and Atletico Madrid, they met last year and they played out two games of football plus extra time of absolute dross. I remember watching them thinking, crikey, I don't mind a bit of defensive football, but my God. We finally got a goal, though. Saul Niguez with the winner just before half-time, and Atletico Madrid take the points. Big 3 points that for Athletic, given what Bayern Munich have done, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Atletico will, realistically, if they'll take second in the group. They'll look to win it. That's the mentality Simeone's brought in there. But it's a good result. I still expect Atletico to do better though against PSV. You just expect a couple more goals. I know they don't score a lot, but you would think they've got enough class to beat them by more than one. But it was a very good goal by Salniguez. Sort of weird half scissor volley. He one attempt and then took it on his other foot as it rebounded back. So good goal, but I would have expected them to beat them anyway, a bit more comfortably than that.
Yeah, good player, good goal, and good result for Atletico. So that did us for Tuesday. Moving on to the Wednesday games, we're going to start with the, sadly for you, the game that involved Manchester City and Mönchengladbach. It was called off on the day before due to heavy storms and adverse weather conditions. Quite rare when you see that nowadays, but weirdly, I remember another Man City game being called off for similar reasons last year. I can't remember which one it was. But I
can confirm the rain in Manchester sometimes is unbelievable.
Yes, that is very true. So we'll start with them. So Pep Guardiola's men got a 4-0 victory. Sergio Aguero picking up a hat-trick for a change. Kelechi Iheanacho with the late fourth. Just want to sort of... City were impressive. Raheem Sterling was the standout performer probably in that game. Saw a debut for Ilkay Gundogan. But I just want to ask you about Gladbach. Is this going to be a result that they'll look at and go, well... It's not ideal, but we didn't really expect a lot from the away game, and we'll give them more of a game at home? Or is there genuine concerns? Because Gladbach seem to be Bundesliga comfortable, but they look really open without a certain Granit Xhaka this season.
Yeah, obviously last season sort of saw the change to the 3 at the back, and it's carried on this year. And at the moment, the midfield isn't quite working out. The who played against yesterday, it was, which is fine and the setup, but they had Christoph Kramer in. They're sort of kind of doing the Xhaka role, but it's not really his. They were missing a little bit defensively. The defence was changed slightly as well. I will say two things. One of the goals was offside, and the penalty was outside the box. Other than that...
Agreed. Not that we're bitter at all. But
other than that, I'm not at all bitter or annoyed. No, I mean, Man City were fantastic on the day, and they fully deserved the win. 4-0 I thought was a little bit flattering. Although saying that, Jan Sommer did make a lot of saves in the game, so maybe it could have been more. Gladbach didn't have a lot of chances. The problem they've got is that they're a team that's used to having the ball, and when they don't, if they can hit on the counter, and obviously they've got very quick players, but City were defensively very solid, and Fernandinho in midfield, sort of, who's been sitting as the holder more than any of the other midfielders, has been doing a really good job for Man City since Pep's come in of cleaning up, and because Gladbach don't have that sort of striker who's going to hold the ball up anymore, like they did in Max Kruse, who had that ability, it's a lot tougher to do that sometimes. Sometimes you need that target man to hit, and they don't really have that in the side right now. I mean, they probably looked at this game and thought, yeah, maybe if we can get a point, but they'll be disappointed with the performance rather than the result, I think.
Yeah, fair assumption. And panicking yet, or are you going to just take...
No. I think, again, if Gladbach manage to get out of the group stage, it's fantastic. It's very unlikely, to be perfectly honest. If we can get third spot on, get in the Europa League, that's more our level, to be honest. These are the horrible intervening seasons where we hopefully consistently finish in the Champions League spot, get into the group stage, drop out, and do that for a couple of years running. Kind of Seville-esque, if I say. Except at the moment we're not winning the Europa League at the end of it.
No, that's the downside. Although, coming on to Europa League in a minute, there's a lot of sides disappointed on their opening night, but we will come back to that. Let's move on to another game then. Leverkusen and Moscow. I just want to spend a brief bit of time on this one because Leverkusen really bottled this, didn't they? 2-0 up through Mehmedi and Hassan Şanlıurfa, and Jagoev and Eremenko, a hell of a player, by the way, gone quiet recently, but what a footballer he is. 2 goals in 2 minutes, and CSKA and Moscow got a point. Now, as I say, it's a bit of a bottle job from Leverkusen, especially against a side that never, ever get a point away from home. I mean, Moscow are so bad on their travels, and yet they've claimed a point, which could prove really vital in this group.
Yeah, I was very surprised by the result, to be honest. When I saw it was 2-0, I thought, okay, Leverkusen will cruise through now. Maybe they get another goal, and that'll be it. But, yeah, Moscow, they got the 2 goals back, so credit to them. Leverkusen, they're a strange team. Like obviously, Drew's spoken about them before, how they should do better than what they do. They've got the squad for it. They've got some experienced players in that side now. And CSKA haven't had the best start to the season in the Russian league. They're not doing great over there. And they're strikers as well. They're big, massive units, but they're not exactly quick or pacey, and they're not really going to move your defence around a bit. So I'd be really disappointed with Leverkusen, because this of all the groups is the one I'm really struggling to call at the moment, because I really don't know who's going to go through. Obviously we'll come on to the other game in a minute. There's one team that stands out more than the other 3, but it's really wide open to who can get the second spot right now, and even maybe top spot in the group and get themselves a more favourable draw into the next round. So I thought Leverkusen would have gone for it a bit more than that, so they'll be really disappointed with that. But yeah, good result for CSKA.
Yeah, absolutely right. I think it's really surprising when, especially a German efficient team chucks away a 2-goal lead, but not good. Elsewhere, let's have a look at Tottenham and Monaco. Now, the curse of Wembley Stadium, is it going to hit again? Arsenal, of course, know what it's like to play at Wembley, or not play at Wembley, as the case may be. Cracking result for Monaco. I mean, I can touch on it in a bit more depth if you want in a second, but I thought, yes, they had to sustain long periods of pressure, but they were really, really impressive against a Spurs side that, for me, didn't use the size of the pitch well enough, weren't clinical enough, and maybe we're guilty of being a bit overconfident. Where have we heard that before? And North London teams play Monaco. What did you make of that?
Yeah, it's strange. Again, a strange result. I was expecting a draw. Obviously, Monaco started Ligue 1 really well. Spurs hadn't started the Premier League great, but obviously come off the weekend from a really good, was it 4-0 win against Stoke? Harry Kane and Dele Alli finally getting goals as well, getting their confidence back after the Euros and all the mess with England. And just, it was weird because the 2 goals that Monaco scored were from Tottenham errors, basically. Bernardo Silva, Lamela giving the ball away, and Bernardo Silva just sort of very good on the ball and going past defenders and stuff, but no one made a tackle or a challenge on him. I mean, he had a really good finish. And then Lamar's goal, a cross not closed down, no one wins the header, a bit of fortunes where it spills, but he's the first to react and fires it in. I thought Spurs were much better in the second half, but again, the finishing just wasn't there. The result, I hate saying it because it's Tottenham. I felt the result was a little bit unfair, and I thought that Spurs actually deserved a point out of it. But the Wembley thing, as much as people will, Arsenal fans will go, "Ooh, it's nonsense," and ignore the fact that it happened to us, and fans of other clubs will as well. I do genuinely think it makes a big difference. The size of the pitch is one. I know Pochettino has put in at the training ground 2 pitches to exact measurements to Wembley, and they've been training on that and trying to get him used to the extra width, because I think it's 2 metres longer 2 metres wider and 5 metres longer, something like that.
Sounds right. Yeah.
Which always confuses me that pitches could be different sizes. Why there isn't one universal size, I don't know. But it's just the atmosphere, and you're not really at home. And for other teams, again, another thing Lee Dixon was talking about, obviously he was talking about his experience with Arsenal at the old Wembley. Monaco are going, those players are going, oh wow, this is England's home stadium we get to play in. It's really good. It gives them a buzz and a lift. Whereas you, as the quote-unquote home team, you're not really at home, you're playing an away game. You're still in your country, and yes, you're still in your city, and all your fans are there, but even the noise they make and everything is going to be completely different and foreign to you, and I think it really does have an effect on the players. They seem to respond in the second half, and this is the thing with this group. Like Monaco, you would think maybe they're favourites to top the group, but Tottenham were very good last season and they've got a decent squad. Monaco are very good, because you know how good they can be, and CSK is sort of the unknown. They're maybe the sort of the weakest out of the lot. So I think the group's wide open. So for Monaco to get the win is really huge.
Couldn't agree more. I think you made some excellent points there, and weirdly, I think the away leg will suit Tottenham more than the home leg.
Yeah.
I think they're more set up, or better set up to go to Monaco and win the game than they are at home. But a word for Monaco, just naturally with my French hat on, I did watch this game and I thought Monaco were just really, really good. It's not a news flash to say they were well organised. Jardim's teams usually are, but TMA Bakayoko, we mentioned on the Hipsters pod, was a monster. As you mentioned, Bernardo Silva, thought the fullback Sidive, who they signed in the summer, was excellent. Falcao put in a shift as well. Stretching, his runs were excellent. And Lee Morrow came off the bench as well to score the second. Really good performances. And if there's a better up-and-coming midfielder in Europe than Fabinho, I haven't seen him yet. Not this season. Absolutely brilliant. Another cracking performance. So well done to the Monegasques. Let's have a look at another game then. And speaking of well done, there's 2 teams we can say well done to in the next group. Club Brugge 0, Leicester City 3. It's nice and easy for Ranieri, wasn't it? This Champions League rock up, 3-0 victory, 2 for Mahrez, 1 for Marco Brighton. Could have been more, probably should have been more, to be fair. What did you sort of make of Leicester? Because this was the perfect Leicester performance overall, wasn't it?
Yeah, very good. They got a very good group for them. Without trying to be condescending to the other teams in it, it's the kind of group you want if you want to go through. Maybe their fans would have liked the big, scary names and whatever for the big glamour ties, but hopefully for them they'll get them. Again, a team that started a little bit nervous. Jose, oh god, I'm going to butcher his name. Izquierdo, I think it is, the Colombian
yes.
Forward. Yes. I was almost going to say Izquierda then, but that's Spanish for left, isn't it? So
it is, yeah. I think it's Izquierda. I think it's Izquierda.
Izquierdo or something. It's something along those lines.
Yes.
We'll call him Jose.
George.
He had a very good chance early on that he skewed wide. I think he's a new signing to the team actually. But after that, Leicester looked quite comfortable. They were passing the ball around nicely when they needed to, sitting back deep and hitting on the counter as they've got great pace in Vardy, who they managed to keep hold of, Mark Albrighton as well. Got a little bit of fortune with the first goal, the goalkeeper Boutel and one of the centre backs, I think it might be in Simmons, just getting a bit of a mix-up, miscommunication, keeper coming for it and defender getting in his way, and then Albrighton's there at the back post to stick it in. And Vardy was very good throughout the game, caused them lots of problems. Mahrez, penalty and the free kick, very good free kick. So perfect result for Leicester. They haven't found their form in the league yet, but this is the sort of thing that can really lift them as a team. And I hope they get through the group stage. It's just great for their fans. After last season, it's just amazing for them, and they're still. I'm sure they must still be buzzing. But yeah, our friend Jose up front looked very good. He had another chance late on where he hit the post that almost went in. But he looked a very decent little player. So he'd be one to watch maybe for the future, who I certainly hadn't heard of before.
No, and also Islam Slimani making his debut for Leicester was very impressive as well. Yeah,
looked very good, worked very, very hard. Another threat for them to put in the team. So the other thing as well, Daniel Amati came in midfield. I thought him and Drinkwater weren't quite at it at the start of the game, but as it went on, they looked a lot better. Good partnership there, because that's the one thing they're definitely missing. Kante in midfield. You can see that in their games.
Yeah, I agree with that. And for those interested in Jose Izquierdo Mena, as his full name goes, 21 goals in 60 games for Club Brugge over 3 seasons. So
3 seasons. I thought he was a new signing.
I must admit, I did. I thought he was. I think he played 24 games the first season, 21 last season, and 4 so far this. So. Yeah, I must admit I thought he was new as well. But one to keep an eye on at only 24 years of age. He's ex-player of Once Caldas, one of the big clubs in Colombia. So, anywho, let's a quick nod to the other game in that group, which ended Porto 1, Copenhagen 1, Copenhagen 1, which would you prefer. Cardiff legend Andreas Cornelius getting the equaliser to Ottavino's opener, who he looks a player, by the way.
That was a very good goal.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah, and he later was involved in the sending off for Gregush, who's dismissed for Copenhagen. But good result that for the Danes away from home.
Yeah, so I would have certainly expected a Porto win there, to be honest.
I did, yeah, I must admit. Certainly at 1-0 up, I thought they would comfortably cruise that game. But yeah, proves not to be. The group that involves Real Madrid and Dortmund. Crikey, these 2 games could not be any more different, could they? Dortmund, hugely impressive. I know it's Legia Warsaw, who, they're organised, they're quite disciplined, but they're not particularly talented. But to get blown off your home pitch...
Was that the first Champions League game in Poland, I think? I'm sure I heard that
think you're right. And, of course, there was trouble, so it might be the last in Poland. But I don't know if you saw the pictures, but apparently the fans stole tear gas off the police then went and then tear gassed the police. Thankfully,
I only saw the goals.
Yeah, good job, really. One thing's for sure, Polish fans, some of them can be very, very badly behaved, but not all, should stress. But there's a lot of ultras in Poland, isn't there? A lot of violence out there. But on the pitch, what a result for Dortmund. I mean, a first goal for Mario Götze, first goal for Rafael Guerrero, love Rafael, first goal for Mark Bartra, and a 6-0 demolition. I mean, Thomas Tuchel, he's got to be one to watch for this year's Champions League, surely.
Yeah, they could be the sort of little... It's hard to say surprise package because everyone knows about Dortmund.
I know what you mean.
But they've lost so many players over the last couple of seasons. Obviously, Götze has gone back now, scored a very good header, weirdly, of all things, for a player who's shorter than you, Chris, I think.
Not sure that's possible, is it?
But, they've kept Aubameyang, they've still got Royce, they've still got very good players at the club, and Tuchel has turned them round, and they're still very quick and can do the counter-attacking, and they can do possession football, and they've got everything about them. I think they could give Madrid a run for their money in the group, certainly, because Madrid weren't particularly impressive in the other game, despite getting the win, that's for sure.
Let's touch on that then, shall we? A victory just about for Real Madrid. They were 1-0 down after 88 minutes. I'm reliably informed by the good people at Bet365. You could have got 16-1 for Madrid to win that at that particular point in time.
Wow.
So if you chucked a fiver on that, you've done quite well. But they did win it after turning the game on its head with these late goals. The first one from a Cristiano Ronaldo free kick. How many is it? He's has like 40 odd that he's hit the ball and.
I think the numbers are better now because he went wasn't it like 200 and something without scoring, and then he scored a couple in a row. So his average is getting better again. It was a good one. Although the Sporting keeper did get his Patricio, isn't it?
Yes,
Sporting keeper. Yeah. He did get his hand onto the ball. So maybe he would have hoped to have done a bit better with it. But yeah, good free kick nonetheless.
Yeah, good goal. And Alvaro Morata, who loves a Champions League goal, doesn't he? After his run for Juventus last season, he popped up with the winner deep into stoppage time, and good result for Real Madrid. But a nod to Sporting Lisbon, who were excellent, I thought, throughout the game, and probably deserved their lead through Breno Cesar, which was an equally good goal, to be fair to him. So unfortunate that, but you'd think Real and Dortmund are going to be the favourites with Sporting.
Yeah.
Just looking to push them if they can, or if not, hit the Europa League. So. Who knows? The final group that we have to cover is the group with Lyon, Zagreb, Juve, and Sevilla. We'll start with Sevilla and Juve in the J Stadium. It was one of those games for you, wasn't it? Higuain hitting the bar with a header. They had a couple of penalty shouts. They had all the possession, all the chances, but just couldn't put the ball in the net. Do you think, this is a bit of a loaded question, but is there or was there a touch of arrogance about Juve with this strengthening of the squad all summer, basically saying we're going all out for the Champions League because we were already comfortably, looks like we're going to win Serie A. This is the season we want to win the Champions League. That undid PSG last year. Do you think it might undo Juve this year?
I'm not sure necessarily. Juventus have always got that sort of arrogance about them because they are winners and they've won so much. And it's if you join that club, you go there to win trophies. If you don't win trophies, you've failed. It's kind of the mentality they breed. And you can see from the selection, they had the core three centre backs. They hadn't changed that. It was Dybala and Higuain up front, so it's their Argentinian pair. Khedira, who's had a fantastic season so far, really really good. He's back in the team as well. So they really went for it. They saved Dani Alves. He came back in for this game. Evra as well had been saved. So they put their best team out, but just Sevilla were just very stubborn in defence and, just sat back and soaked up all the pressure, and they'll be really happy with the point. Another day, Higuain's shot doesn't hit the crossbar, it goes in, or it goes in off underneath the side of the crossbar, Maybe they get one of those penalty appeals. They'll be disappointed. They will not be very happy about that at all. So we'll see what the response is. Allegri, I'd imagine, will have them running and doing all sorts of horrible training things now. The only thing that was a little bit perhaps disappointing was Pjanic not being able to start the game because he is coming back from an injury, and they could only bring him on as a sub. I think maybe that might have made a little bit of a difference if he could have started, but other than that, no, Juve threw everything at Sevilla and they got a very good point.
Yeah, definitely a very good point for Sevilla, and they will be, again, probably the two clubs that you look at as the favourites for this group. But while that was all going on, Lyon, very quietly impressive against, albeit a limited Dynamo Zagreb side, I think it's fair to say. Although, after what Arsenal went through last year, you can never write them off. But goals from Tolisso, the horribly underrated Jordan Ferre, and Max Cornet, who was playing in the absence of Alexandre Lacazette, whose injury is a little bit worse than first feared, it sounds like. So much so that Lyon are trying to sign Emmanuel Adebayor. So things are desperate. Yes, but Lyon running out fairly comfortable winners, 3-0. Do you think they've got enough to topple either Juve or Sevilla in this group? Because it's a good start. The home form's going to be key. What I would worry about, again, as a sort of semi-Lyon fan, is how well they're going to do in the J Stadium or the Roman Sanchez Pizjuan, because the away form for Lyon is patchy at best in Europe.
Yeah, it's a perfect start in terms of 3 points at home. That's what sort of the aim is in the Champions League, is win your home games and get points on your away legs if you can, and that normally sees you through the group quite comfortably. I would still back Juve to be favourites to top the group, although saying that, the Italian sides do have a habit of being a little bit lazy in the group stages, and they don't really come to life until the knockout. I think Zagreb are probably bottom of the group, to be honest, and will end up staying there. I think it's more a shootout between Lyon and Sevilla, and depending on what happens there, obviously losing Unai Emery, we have to wait a bit more time to see how much it's going to affect them, because obviously he was such a big influence on the way they played. They seem to have kept that defensive stability so far, but it's how long they can, how disciplined they can be in every single game over and over and over again. So Lyon have got a chance, but if they can get Lacazette back, that's a huge plus for them, especially for the away legs. So a lot of it will come down to him.
Yeah, pace on the counter and all that.
Yeah.
And I totally agree. The Emre thing, I mean, he could not get points away from home for Sevilla when he was there. At least Sampaoli seems to be sorting that one out. So I think they'll be set up not to be beaten at home and try and get points not to be beaten away and get points at home. So we shall see. That's quite an intriguing group. That I like the look of it. So that rounds up the Champions League for week 1, or match day 1, as the kids say. The fixtures, the next round of fixtures that we will play will be the 27th and 28th, Tuesday and Wednesday of September. So not this week coming, but the following week. Just running down them very quickly. Tuesday's games: Monaco, Leverkusen, Moscow, Tottenham Hotspur, Borussia Dortmund, Real Madrid. That'll be tasty. Sporting Lisbon, Legia Warsaw. Copenhagen, Bruges, Leicester City, Porto, Sevilla, Lyon, which I might have a little look at myself, Dynamo Zagreb, Juventus, Ludogorets, PSG, Arsenal at home to Basel, Besiktas host Kiev, Napoli host Benfica, which also might be worth a watch, Borussia Mönchengladbach, Barcelona, which of course, John, you'll be all over, and Celtic will lay down and die for Manchester City at Celtic Park, or hopefully not, if Brendan Rodgers can motivate them. So, yes, that's the next round of fixtures, which of course will be...
you missed out Group D as well.
Did I miss out Group
D?
D?
Rostov, PSV, and Atletico host Bayern Munich.
Oh yes, I did, didn't I? Why? That's not on my fixture list. Strange. Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Well, they're playing too, so thank you for that. Good job. Right, let's move on then to tonight's action. Tonight being the 15th of September on a Thursday, we had the Europa League. Now we're going to change it up slightly this year and just pick out literally 3 or 4 of the games just as talking points, and then ping you through the rest of the results, because frankly we'd be here forever if we went through every game. So first one I'm going to pick out for you, John, is the early game between Manchester United and Feyenoord. Drew will be happy because Feyenoord came out 1-0 victors, albeit a disputed call for offside, but Tony Villena with the winner. And an unhappy start to Mourinho's life in the Europa League. Not that I doubt he cares particularly that much.
I'm not sure I necessarily agree when you see the lineup that he put out.
Fair point.
It was a fairly strong team. Okay, Marcus Rashford was starting up front and Ibrahimovic was on the bench, obviously. So he changed a little bit there, but you have to rotate your squad throughout the season. But Martial, Juan Mata, Paul Pogba, Marcus Rojo, Eric Barley, who's their big sort of centre back signing. I didn't get to see the game. I only saw the goal. I don't think it was particularly debatable about the offside. But the thing I saw most of on my timeline talking about it was Paul Pogba getting ripped to shreds for how bad he was in the game. As I say, I didn't see the game. The only thing I'll say about Paul Pogba is I feel very sorry for him at the moment that he costs so much money, because he will get this stick until basically he has a worldie for an entire season non-stop. And then a couple games into the next one, just because of his price tag. And to be honest, I haven't seen him really played in a system or a position that he did at Juventus yet for Man United. So he's not really being played in the correct way. It's a great result for Feyenoord. Man United, that's terrible. They would look at the Europa League and think, right, we should be winning, or like they basically just shouldn't lose any games at all. They should win every home game and at least be getting a point away. That's the way they'll view it as the size of the club and everything. So that's not really good. Is there a hint of? I kind of get what you're pointing at. Maybe reading between the lines, Mourinho doesn't really want to be in the competition, perhaps. I'm not sure I necessarily agree with that. I think if he really didn't want to be in it, then he would genuinely have just chucked the kids out there and just been blatant about it. So, I think he came out and said that his players didn't execute his plan correctly. Which it's never his fault, is it?
No, God, no, never is. No,
Yeah.
I just going back to the weekend. I don't know if you heard his comments after the derby when he said I wouldn't criticise my players in public before the game. I wouldn't criticise them because it would potentially kill them. And then after the game, he went, well, when some of your players don't turn up and perform as badly as that, then you're bound to lose. I was thinking, well, what have you just done that? Yeah. Honestly, the man. Sorry, United fans, if you're listening, but the man's a pillock.
I'm very confused with that team at the moment because I think it's good enough to win the Premier League and it's definitely good enough to win the Europa League. But I don't know if those players will all get on with Mourinho.
No.
For example, I don't think Mourinho is the type of manager who will get the best out of a Paul Pogba.
No.
I think he needs a different type of manager. Zlatan is great for him because he's someone with an ego who can push up against his and can challenge him and stuff. He'll love that. But it's very weird the sort of the phase that club's in at the moment.
It strikes you as a club that you're almost waiting for something to go off, isn't it? Almost like Chelsea last season. You just wonder if that's going to end in tears or indeed in Mourinho winning something and then leaving again. That's probably more accurate, I would suggest. I want to now turn the focus. Oh, before we move on, actually, should say there was a spotting of a lesser spotted. There's lots of spots. Memphis Depay, remember him?
Oh yes,
yeah. He did come on for about 20 minutes, did nothing. So nothing's changed. So God bless Memphis. Even back in Holland, he didn't really do a thing. But I'm sure he's got a lovely range of cars. So that's the most important thing in life. Moving on then, let's talk about a crazy game in Israel. Maccabi Tel Aviv. 3-0 up on Zenit St. Petersburg after 30 minutes. Sorry, after 70 minutes. 30 minutes to go. I don't know what the odds would have been, but Zenit St. Petersburg were dead and buried. The game was just playing out to seemingly inevitable victory. And then, well, what happened next, John?
Again, obviously we didn't get to see all these games. I was flicking between different matches, but somehow Zenit managed to score 4 goals and come back to win 4-3. Before Zenit had even got 1 goal back, I saw there was Juventus fans with hashtag free Axel Witsel and things like that floating around on Twitter, obviously upset that the transfer hadn't gone through and that he was having to play in this Zenit team. And then they just completely flipped the switch. I'm looking for the Tel Aviv team, and I'm like, oh, Yossi Benayoun, and Tel Ben Haim. Yep, that's it. I don't know any of the other players. Sorry, not being disrespectful to Tel Aviv. I obviously don't get to watch much Israeli football. But yeah,
even I don't.
Yes, it's amazing. It's obviously hard to judge the level of competition because of who they play against week in, week out, but they've got a record in the Europa League. This is half decent, but you would expect Zenit with the sort of money they've got, or the money they pay players, and the players, they've got Javi Garcia, they've got Witsel, they've got Yuri Zhirkov, Chelsea fans remember, Kurzakov, Kokorin. They've got some really good players at that team, and to be that many goals down was really shocking. Came back and got the 4 goals back. Eli Dassa got sent off first minute, which obviously would have helped a little, but yeah, very strange game. I'll have to watch the full highlights of that when I get a chance.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, of course, Andrei Villas-Boas left Zenit St. Petersburg by mutual consent at the end of the season, and they're now managed by Michel Luchescu, who you may remember from times gone by of Shakhtar, Besiktas, Galatasaray. He's actually a former Inter manager, believe it or not, as well. So real pedigree in that Zenit side, and well, it was showed up in the end, but crikey, did they leave it late to do that? My goodness. However, there was another team, John, that were playing an Israeli side tonight. How do we approach this? Probably with caution. Inter Milan looking, obviously Frank de Boer's come in, big new signings. They've got a lovely third strip. I do like it, and nobody else does, but I like it. And they play at home to Hapoel Beersheva, who of course we saw against Celtic in the Champions League preliminary rounds. And somehow the Israelis come out and win 2-0. I mean, what on earth do you make of Inter at the moment? Because it was just a mess tonight, wasn't it?
Yeah, just really poor. When I saw the lineup, I was talking to some of our listeners on Twitter, and Jimmy in particular, who's an Inter fan as well. He was very disappointed with it. I was as well. Felipe Melo came back in the team. I understand, again, you have to rotate, but it was just a very strange lineup. Brozovic came in, which I was happy about, but then he's the one who gets subbed off. No Banega, no Icardi in the starting lineup, no Candreva at all. Really, you can't play any of them from the start? I don't understand. I know you're at home, so you're the fancy team, and Beersheva aren't particularly fancied, and we looked comfortable first half. Again, managed to not score a goal, which has been a trait all season. But we hadn't really given up any chances, and then they score from their second attempt on goal, and then we just seemed to collapse. But and then at that point, he's throwing Icardi and Banega and everyone else onto the pitch, and it's just too late. You've still got to give him time, because obviously he said himself it's going to take 4 months to get it all worked out. But there's clear things there that I don't know why. For example, D'Ambrosio is still starting every game. Again, the first goal came from him not marking his man properly, coming in from the flank. That happens all the time. You've signed Candreva and you've signed Banega for a reason. Put them in games. Palacio is fine, but he's not really an out-and-out forward. You can't really play him up front. That's what Adair's for. Why is Adair playing wide and not Palacio? It's little things like that just need tweaking in the team. He's not far off it, but it's tough to tell with new owners how much time you get. You assume it'll be a long time because he's obviously got a good relationship with George Abian, who helped with the owners taking over the club. But the fans certainly won't stand for performances like that, especially at home.
Yeah, the atmosphere wasn't the best at the end. There was a lot of catcalls, and I think it was. It got progressively more and more aggressive as the game went on with the crowd. And as you rightly say, playing certain players, it seems a bit square pegs, round holes.
And Beersheva could have had a couple more goals. Handanovic made some very good saves in the game as well.
Hit the bar with a minute to go as well, didn't they, with that lovely chip, which would have made me some money. Thank you very much. Don't gamble, kids, remember. But it was a comprehensive and a massive win for Beersheva, and credit where credit's due. They set up to come and sit tight and take the chances, and boy did they, and fair play to them. Take nothing away from their performance. It's a magnificent result for not just them but for Israeli football. It's a huge result after their performances against Celtic, so fair play to them. Just quickly, the kit, you're not a fan, or are you? Is it grown up? No.
I wanted to blame it on the kit tonight, but
no. Efan Ikoku did on BT. He actually said that. He said, it's taken me 60 minutes. He said, I have to say, I don't like the kit. And he said, I think that when you rock up to a team like Inter Milan, you see them run out in the black and blue, it affects your mental stakes. You realise who you're playing. He said, when they're playing in kits like this, it doesn't have
like
to be
a Sprite bottle or something. I didn't get it, or like a can of Lilt or something. It's weird. It is definitely Sprite. There's a few of them about. It's a Nike template. I think you've got the joys of Man City's purple and orange number to come. No doubt. Next time. Galatasaray, I've got one. Barcelona, I've got one. And Roma, I've got a lovely one, actually. Orange and... Oh, I've seen the Roma one. I didn't mind that. That was all right, actually.
Yeah, there's a few that are quite tasty, but nevertheless, we'll leave Kit Watch there for another week. We'll just touch very quickly on Southampton 3, Sparta Prague 0. Ross will be happy. 2 for Charlie Austin, despite having a good fight with Dusan Tadic about who was actually going to take the penalty, which was never a penalty, by the way. Or I thought it was harsh, at least. Jay Rodriguez wrapping up the points with a minute to go. Good result that for Southampton, given their start to the season, and Claude Puel getting his first home win. Pretty decent performance as well overall, from what I could see.
Yeah, controlled the game, looked very comfortable, and the fact that Inter lost, obviously they're in the same group, really good result for them. So that's perfect start. Ross, I can confirm Ross also agreed that was definitely not a penalty, but he quite happily took it.
Yes, yeah, he did. Yeah, and do you know the linesman who gave the penalty? Do you know what his name was?
I have no idea.
Mike Pickle.
Wow.
German, by the way. So,
okay.
Yeah, get on, Mr. Pickles. Well done. We should give a nod as well to Dundalk. Fantastic point for them. Away at AZ Alkmaar in the Netherlands. They were reduced to 10 men with 10 minutes to go. They were a goal down through Witten's strike on 60 minutes. But Kilduff popped up with the equaliser, and a point away from home. Kilian Kilduff, I believe his name is. Fantastic performance that, and a really good result for Dundalk. That's a magnificent achievement for them, and they're making a bit of a name for themselves after running Legia Warsaw close in the Champions League qualifier. So definitely a big nod to them. Also, let's just touch briefly on another side that you would have kept a little bit of a close eye on, Sassuolo, who ran out 3-0 victors over Athletic Bilbao. That's a hell of a result for SAS, isn't it?
Yeah, I was very surprised by the scoreline. I saw bits of the first half. I missed the second, sadly, where all the goals were. But I can tell you, first half was very, very dull. It wasn't exciting at all. It was very scrappy in the middle of the park. Neither team could really get it down. I actually thought Bilbao looked the better side, just sort of edged it. But yeah, SAS obviously second half started to turn it on. They got in a couple of times, and they just couldn't quite pull the trigger. Politano in particular, who did end up getting on the score sheet for SAS, and Defrel as well, coming back. He'd missed a couple of games. Good goal by him. Obviously, the big miss for them was the fact that no Berardi, through injury, out was the real big thing. Another surprise as well was Duncan wasn't in the starting lineup. So obviously, they've got to rotate SAS. I said this season's going to be difficult for them with Europe, and he's one of their better midfielders. So the fact they can get that win is really big for them, and hopefully, especially after the game losing to Juventus, hopefully they can get themselves a win this weekend and then sort of get their season up and running properly.
Yeah, it's a good result that for them, and I think their style will suit European football. It just seems to suggest that anyway. Final game I just want to pick out from tonight's games was Nice 0, Schalke 1, which was a good result that for Schalke away from home, because they've often been criticised for being a side that have got a bag of potential in these competitions, but ultimately sort of mess the bed, shall we say politely. But a goal from Chelsea loanee Baba, with the winning goal for Schalke. And Nice,
Baba Rahman, yeah.
That's the Badger. Nice largely didn't really impress. It was a bit of a scrappy game. Balotelli was booked and had very little effect on the game. Nice had a 3-5-2 formation, so playing three at the back. Dante was decent overall. Cyprian was decent, but they just didn't really have a cutting edge, and that will be a worry for Mario and co. So Lucien Favre suffers his first defeat in the Europa League for Nice, but cracking result for Schalke, who went with a three-man centre-forward attack in Schopf, Mbolo and Choupo-Moting to start the game. So that's brave. And Konoplyanka, Huntelaar and Geis all started on the bench. So it's quite a decent squad there building that, as did Max Meyer. So, yeah, be one to watch, I think, Schalke in this tournament, because it's surely going to be a tournament they should look to try and win. So, right, we'll just rattle off the other results, and then we'll take a couple of questions before we go. So the other results, Karabag 2, Liberec 2. I can never help but do that. Rapid Wien 3-2 victory over Belgian side Henk. It's a good result, actually, for them. We had SAS, we've mentioned. Victoria Pilsen and Roma ended in a 1-1 draw. Perotti for Roma. Bakos firing back and equaliser within 6 minutes.
Thank you, Juan Jesus. You idiot.
Yes, indeed, yeah.
Although I'd still rather have him back at Inter playing instead of D'Ambrosio.
Instead of Ranocchio as well, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Astra Giurgiu, they lost at home, rather surprisingly, to Austria Wien. Good result that for them, actually. The winner ultimately coming from Grunwald. Rot Pula was sent off, but Austria Wien hung on for the points. Young Boys Bern lost at home to Olympiacos. Esteban Cambiasso with the winner there. God bless him. He's still going. Bless him. Our life in the old dog yet. They'll be a side to watch this season as well, I think, Olympiacos. Astana came, they were 1-0 up, but lost away to Apoel, Vincilius and Di Camargo, who I'm sure, as I frantically click around my browser, used to play for Gladbach. Yes, he did, in 2012. There you go. Igor Di Camargo. Also played at Hoffenheim, Standard Liège and Genk. So, yeah, weird how you remember these things, isn't it? Zora of Ukraine drew 1-1 with Fenerbahce. A goal in the last minute from Simon Kjaer rescuing Fenerbahce. Mainz 1-1 with St Etienne. Robert Beric, for the second time in a week, scoring a stoppage time equaliser for St Etienne after Nicolas Bunga had put Mainz in front. Anderlecht with a 3-1 victory over Kabbalah. Goals there, Rafael Santos and Capel with the two what proved to be winning goals. Standard Liège 1-1 with Celta Vigo. Dosevi with a goal for Liège, and Giuseppe Rossi, you'll remember him, John. He bagged the equaliser for Vigo. Ajax, impressive performance for them. 2-1 victory away in Panathinaikos, a game that saw 3 red cards, no less. Traore and Rielwald getting the goals for Ajax there. Osmanilaspor from Turkey. One of the easier ones to say, thank God. They got a 2-0 victory over Steaua Bucharest. Jake Dibate got on the score sheet there. Villarreal beating Zurich by 2-1, coming from behind. Alessandro Pato with it's a ripper, wasn't it? His goal, really lovely goal that. Yeah, superb. And Jonathan Dos Santos with the other 2-1 victory there. Konyaspor lost at home to Shakhtar Donetsk. Facundo Ferreira with the winning goal there. Sporting Braga with a 1-1 draw at home to Ghent, having gone behind. Andre Pinto rescued a point. PAOK Fiorentina was the only goalless game of the entire run of matches. Not much to report there. Krasnodar, rather surprisingly, beating Tom's Red Bull Salzburg by 1-0 and had a man sent off and survived the last 20 minutes. So that's the other results from this round or the first round of group games in the Europa League. I'm just going to have a quick scout ahead of time for the next games in this Europa League.
It's the 29th, so it's the Thursday. So it is the Thursday of the Champions League games as well, yeah.
Gotcha.
That same week. Ties to look out for. I'm just having a look through down. Here's one for Tom. Schalke hosts Salzburg. Ajax Standard Liège. That's some old school names in football.
Oh, yes.
Still going down. Sparta Prague Inter, one for me, one for Ross. Beersheva hosting Southampton. That's a trip and a half.
Yeah.
Bucharest Villarreal, St Etienne Anderlecht, and then another big tie. Dundalk host Tel Aviv. Just amazing that they're in the competition, how well they're doing. Roma host Astra, Bilbao Rapid Wien, Genk Sassuolo. Fenerbahce Feyenoord will be a very big one. And Man United fans, you have a visit from Zora. Is that the Ukrainian side?
It is indeed, yeah. That's yeah. Vigo Ajax might be decent as well, and that's that game between Feyenoord and Fenerbahce, that's got red cards written all over it. I just got that feeling that's going to be a rough and tumble affair. So good stuff. Okay, right. Before we go then, we're just going to take a couple of questions because I know we've had a couple come through. So in the interest of time, we'll just whip through these very quickly. A1 at Ords first. He wants to ask you, John, about Arsenal. I'm pretty sure he's a gooner in that case. He says, do you think they've got an advantage to finish first in the group now after the result in Paris?
Do you think, sorry, they've lost advantage?
Do you think that they've got the advantage
now?
Got
the advantage, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, basically, because it's all in their hands. If they win their games, then they go top. Like I said, if you win your home games and you get the points away, normally you're top of the group. I think you're always guaranteed to qualify, something like that. So it's a good result in terms of, if you said before the game, I think most Arsenal fans say, yeah, we'll take a point at PSG. In the context of the game, it's a good result as well. But seeing what we could have put out, I would have been happy with the 3 points. But yeah, I definitely think they can win the group now, as long as they take the other games a little bit more seriously, perhaps. Kind of just a few tweaks to the lineup, and then I think it'll be fine.
Yep, agree with you. Two questions from your friend of mine, Mr. Simon Collins, friend of this parish. One, I think, is a little bit tongue-in-cheek. He says, are into this beep, or are they just trolling John? I think we can both answer that one and say they are just that bad at the moment. I think that's fair to say. But his other question, he said, in all seriousness, how long before people start taking Monaco, start picking this Monaco team apart? A few really handy players. I suppose I should answer that one, really, shouldn't I? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I worry, Simon, actually. It's funny enough, because we were saying in our WhatsApp group we have last night that I was saying that the amount of talent that comes out of Ligue 1 season after season that is so readily overlooked by a lot of, particularly UK journalists, I find. I'd love to, if I had the time, just sit down and work out just how many young, up-and-coming, talented players there are in Ligue 1 this season that will probably move on. Even to the extent of when you've got people like Didier and Dong moving to Sunderland from Lorient, a kid who's basically had one decent season has moved for 15 million quid to Sunderland. There's just so much young talent, and the Monaco squad is just filthy rich, laden with talent. And to answer your question, so I don't think it'll be long. I think there'll be a lot of players that will be on the move. We mentioned obviously in the roundup of the Spurs game. For me, Tamuri Bakayoko is just got it all. 22 years of age. I don't want to put pressure on him. Not that he's listening, but he's very Patrick Vieira when he came from Milan, John. If you remember that far back,
Yeah.
Bit gangly, little bit sort of raw, but looks a real athlete and is comfortable in possession. He's 22, Bernardo Silva 22, Alain Traore 21, Tony Lamar 20, Kris John, who we've not even seen much this season, who is a signing from Troyes, he's 21. Boschilia 20. These are all midfielders. Fabinho that we've mentioned previously is currently having the season of his life, only 22. Sidibe and Mendy 24 and 22 respectively, the fullbacks. Diao, who's another very highly rated defender, is only 20. And then when you go up front, there's one player in particular who we haven't seen a lot of yet this season, but we will, who I think we mentioned previously last year, and he will be a future Hipsters choice, I'm sure. Kylian Mbappé-Lotin, the young forward, only 17 years of age. He's built like the proverbial brick outhouse, and just looks like he's got so much talent. He's, again, sort of Adebayor with pace when he was a young player. I think Monaco have unearthed another gem there. So I don't think it'll be long. And
They've had a few offers already, haven't they? Fabinho was touted around, well, not touted around a lot of clubs, sorry, a lot of clubs were looking at him and trying to get him this summer, weren't they? Yep. Bernardo Silva's been a target for quite a few clubs before as well.
Yep. And Lotan himself, or Mbappe himself, was targeted by Pep for Man City, which is, weirdly, I think a deal that actually might happen in January, maybe with a view to completion at the end of the season, but I think he's a very Pep Guardiola type of player, so it's a shame really, because everyone says the French league isn't competitive. Well, I genuinely think we got a title race on this season if Monaco continue at this pace, because obviously it's all right starting well, you've got to carry it on, but they impressed me. There's a short answer for you, honest.
I've got some breaking news just before we finish the pod.
Oh, go on.
Apparently, there are reports that Inter Milan will sack Frank de Boer if he loses to Juventus at the weekend.
Wow.
So if that report is true, then you can. Well, I'd put some decent money on Juve winning that game. And apparently Fabio Capello is top of the list.
Oh my word!
Yeah. Now I must say this is just paper talk at the moment. It's not definite, but
it's like going back to 1996 again, isn't it? Yeah. It's like perhaps he could bring in. What's his face? Oh god, the chap who went to manage in China, the Italian manager. Perhaps they could bring him back.
Oh yeah, I know you mean.
Oh, what's his name? Oh, that's good. That's going to really annoy me. Old school cigar smoker. Yeah. You know exactly who I mean, don't you? Please look that up, because it's going to really bug me. While you do, let's have another couple of quick questions. This one's from Madabman, our good friend Lord Hillwood. He said, can you go over and gloat about Monaco's win, and how long when discussing PSV v United before you laugh? I think he means Feyenoord. Come on, Steve, get it right. But a little bit of trolling there. But fair to say, particularly that Feyenoord result, it's a big result that for Feyenoord. Their fans were lapping it up, and given that group, I mean, you wouldn't rule them out winning that group now.
No, not at all. Sorry, on the manager, were you talking about Marcello Lippi?
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Yes. He's not Gangju anymore. Is it Gangju?
No,
is that how you pronounce it?
Gangju, yeah, Gangju Evergrande, yeah. Yeah, he left.
He was there for a while, but he's not there anymore. But yeah, that's the one.
you go. But yes, Steve, I did have a little chuckle at Spurs. I'm not going to lie. So I'm sorry, Spurs fans listening, but rivalry is rivalry. And the final question again comes from A1, and this one's for you, John. Definitely. Do you think Man City have got a good chance of winning the Champions League? They look stronger under Pep. Plus, they got to the semis last year. Do you think they've got everything that they need now to properly do it?
I think they're finding every single department other than up front. If Aguero gets an injury and misses a key game, that's huge for them. I really like the young kid Iheanacho. I think he's great, and I think he's going to be a real talent. But keeping Aguero fit is huge because you can see just how good a player he is. In that game against Gladbach, Jan Sommer made some really good saves, and Aguero learnt from it. And the goal he scored that was offside, he sat Jan Sommer down and then took it round him and then put it in because he knew he could go through his legs and everything else because Sommer had saved all those attempts. So he learns even within the game of how to beat certain keepers and stuff. He's such a good striker. But yeah, if they can keep him fit, then there's no reason why they can't because. Yeah, he's getting the best out of Sterling. He's got De Bruyne. Gundogan's only just come in. Leroy Sané came on, made an impact in the game as well. He's still going to be learning, and Pep will be more comfortable playing in Europe than he will in the Premier League because he's used to it. He knows what to expect in Europe more than he does in the Premier League. So I don't see why they can't. No.
Got a sneaky feeling Gabriel Jesus might be transfer might be hurried up in January. I've got a funny feeling he might be ready for the second group stage.
Yeah, I completely forgot about him.
Yeah, he looks a magnificent talent, by the way. It's a good bit of business, that. But leading the line for Brazil comes with its own pressures, and he's done very well. Nudging ahead of Gabigol, who we've yet to see, of course, for Inter. So maybe we'll see him at some point. Anyway, that's all for all the questions tonight. So thank you very much for sending them in. As usual, if you want to ask us a question, at the FH Podcast on Twitter is where you will find us. You can tweet us or send us a direct message, or indeed, as the other day, our good friend Kris did, send us an email. And we'll do our best to get to those each week. Ideal time to do it is just after the Europa League games have finished, or obviously if it's Champions League related, just ping us in our DMs or use the hashtag Champions League so we can find them. You can subscribe to us, of course, on YouTube and on iTunes. We will tweak the links as usual when this podcast is released. And just a reminder, if you haven't listened to Monday's pod, myself, Tom and John went through the weekend's action. It's still available on our website, as well as the English Breakfast. And we'll, of course, be back on Sunday with another edition of the English Breakfast and back on Monday with the regular European Roundup. I should say our thanks to Kelly, Kat and Gaz for all the work behind the scenes they do. Kelly never fails to tweet me with, "You mean man purse," whenever I say about the Satchel. So
it's a Canadian thing.
I was going to say it's a Canadian thing, isn't it? So we'll let her off. What's that all about? But yes, that'll do us for tonight, John. I know we're going to drag Ross on here at some point soon, aren't we, to talk about Saints? So we'll
yes,
try and
definitely
plumb it in. He's having a few internet issues tonight, so he couldn't make tonight. But hopefully we'll drag him on in the future. And the final thing to say, we do have a Facebook page, which I know a lot of you are starting to like. We will, I promise, start posting our episodes on Facebook. Unfortunately, we all have lives and we're busy people, so it's difficult to maintain lots of different forums, but we will at least start to post our episodes on Facebook in the coming weeks. So if you want to give our page a like on Facebook, then please do. And of course, subscribe to us on SoundCloud, because we're going to get that sorted. Going to get it sorted this weekend, aren't we, John? That's
yes. Hopefully we should have it for, if it's not for the English Breakfast, then it should be for Monday's pod, definitely. But we'll still be available in all the same other places as well. But you'll be able to get us on there. And obviously when we get the Facebook all sorted out as well, you can not only like and listen and whatever through that, you can also share it for all your friends.
Absolutely. And do stay tuned on Monday, because we've got some exciting news coming up, all to do with the popular video game FIFA. The kids apparently call it FIFA. I'm joking, of course, but yes, we've got a little idea that we're gonna put out to our listeners involving this hotly anticipated release of this year's FIFA 17. So do tune in on Monday. There's a tease for you, huh? Right, that'll do us then, John. Thank you very much for your time this evening, and as always,
pleasure as always.
We have been the Football Hipsters, both of us. Thank you very much for tuning into the Satchel. Hope you enjoyed it. Do leave us a comment or a bit of feedback on iTunes or YouTube. We'll be back on Sunday and on Monday/Tuesday. Keep it tuned. Enjoy your weekend's football. We've been the Hipsters, and we'll speak to you very soon.